Reinvented Threads with Gabby Lynn is just a really lovely business. Gabby is a wonderful maker who creates things with love and uniqueness. They're handmade from found or existing, I should say, materials that she picks up smartly. She curates from yard sales, from thrift stores, consignment. She is often gifted with items, a cashmere sweater that a person is giving up because it has a hole and they sewn it once and now they're just like, you know what? It's time for me to let it go. And Gabby will take those items and she makes beautiful cashmere beanies, scarves. She makes neck warmers, beautiful bags. She makes bucket hats, arty monster dolls. Her little monster dolls have become a great hit. You won't find anything like this on the big box in the big box stores or online anywhere because it's handmade with love by Gabby Lynn, and there's no other Gabby Lynn out there. So, this season, when you're shopping, whether it's for yourself or for someone you care about, consider buying a gift that is not only handmade with love, but is also good and lovely for the environment because we're keeping things out of the landfill. Gabby is keeping things in circulation by giving them new life. And each item, I should say, comes with a beautiful story. So you can go to reinventedthreads.com to see Gabby's online shop, and you can also check out her event. So if you are someone in Pennsylvania or you're coming to Pennsylvania, check out her events in December. She has one on the 6th and the 7th. She will be part of an annual Artisans Club open house in Bethlehem. And then on December 13th, she is going to be in Doylestown at the Craftery Market, 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. outside. So, hey, if you're chilly while you're there, check out her stand for sure. Reinvented Threads, because you can pick up a beautiful cashmere beanie and maybe a nice neck warmer or a scarf. Check out reinventedthreads.com. And you can also follow Reinvented Threads on Facebook and on Instagram. Well, as we get to the end of the year, I know that's often a time when we reflect and take stock. You know who can help with mindfulness and improving well-being is my second podcast sponsor. That is Healthy Lifestyle Management with Lisa Regau. Lisa is a registered nurse. She is a plant predominant nutritionist. She is a certified instructor in lifestyle medicine. She is an instructor from Brown University in mindfulness-based stress reduction. She does a lot of things. And let me tell you, because I've been to a couple events where Lisa has spoken and I've been to one of her meditation classes, just her presence. I mean, we all have stuff going on in our lives and, she's human. She has stuff going on, but she always exudes such a sense of calm and peacefulness, truly, that I just love running into her, being at some of events that she's spoken at. And I just feel calmer, honestly, in her presence. And I love her meditation class. But if you go to her website, it's Healthy Lifestyle Management is the name of the company, or I should say her business. But the website, I'm going to say it slowly. And of course, it will also be in the show notes for this podcast. It is Eat, Breathe, Move, Live.com. If you go there, you can check out some of the courses that Lisa offers. You can also sign up for her newsletter, and she also will share when she does, I believe it's once a month, but you can find out on her website, a free online, it's on Zoom, meditation course, or excuse me, class. So it's something that you can do. It's once a month, it's free, but you can also learn more if you sign up for her newsletter. So just go to eatbreathemove.live.com. You can learn about her services. Some of them are provided online, so you don't even need to be in Northeastern Pennsylvania to benefit from Healthy Lifestyle Management. Be sure to check out Eat, Breathe, Move, Live.com. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Uncorked with Funny Wine Girl. This is Funny Wine Girl, aka Janine Luby. Whether you celebrate Hanukkah, Christmas, Kwanzaa, any, of the holidays, or Festivus, that's a fun one to celebrate if you're a Seinfeld fan. If you are going to be giving gifts, then I think you're going to enjoy today's conversation, especially if you're open to saving some money and doing things that are, a little bit greener, as in good for the planet, that might help to keep things out of the landfill. We definitely are a consumption society. I think we could be doing better for the planet. And of course, even in our local community, there's so many different things that we can do. And let's get to my guest who is waiting patiently. Gabby Lynn of Reinvented Threads, who is also a podcast sponsor of mine and a friend, is all about doing green stuff. And she does that with her business through the beautiful items that she makes with great care by hand, beautiful handbags, hats, scarves, her little arty monster dolls that I love, and really cool accessories. But we're going to talk first about the holidays and some ideas that Gabby incorporates so that we can be a little bit more environmentally friendly with some of our practices. So welcome, Gabby.
Hi, Janine. Hello. Thanks for having me on again. Happy
Absolutely.
to be here.
Yeah. It's always a pleasure to talk to you.
Likewise. Yes, all full up from Thanksgiving turkey, and ready for the march ahead to the Christmas festivities. And I'm busy making stuff I've got a couple of shows coming up, so busy making stuff for those shows. And before we came on, I was saying to you about the stuff for the grandkids and the kids that we're sorting through from all the finds from thrift stores and the yard sales mostly during the summer. So lots of gifts from yard sales, which is the way that we do it a lot of the time. You know, we find lots of things gifts that people don't want, that they then just sell at their yard sales. So we pick them up for a fraction of the cost and we keep them in circulation.
Yeah. Yeah. And we were talking about this before I hit record, and it's funny that so much of our behavior is based on our perception or judgment or whatever. Because I mean, I grew up in a middle class household, so we were taught not to waste. And I'm sure different families, depending on how much excess, like some people, wouldn't worry about waste, and others, might be pinching pennies. And, depending on how you were raised, you were definitely taught to consider not wasting things, not overbuying or whatever. But I think we live in an age now where there's so much consumption that's why people have these yard sales, or they do donate to, Goodwill, thrift shops, consignment. And it makes it easier, I should say, I guess easier, you could say, for people to find items that are either brand new in many cases or practically brand new. And there's certainly no shame in that, because why not? It's going to end up in a landfill and you're getting a good deal.
Yeah. We do it all the time and have done for years and years. And, I think we talked about it before. I grew up with that kind of mentality as well. One person's trash, another person's treasure. And so, I'm a big believer in that, and I look at the things that we have squirreled away for the grandkids, particularly for Christmas. And it would cost hundreds of dollars for some of this stuff. And, we've picked it up for a fraction of the cost. And, why wouldn't you?
Yeah. No, seriously. Yeah. Why wouldn't you? And, we also talked earlier, my mother's always like rolling her eyes at me because I'm someone who will pick up things off a curb. And I mean, just to sometimes I should say it's a little bit to my disadvantage, because I'm kind of becoming a little bit of a hoarder. So I have to keep an eye on that. but in some cases I've picked up, yeah, I have to watch about that, because that could become a problem, But I've picked up like brand new like artwork that had like the price tag on the back. People put things out because they know that other people are going to come along and they're going to take them, because otherwise the alternative is that the garbage man takes them, DPW takes them, and they're going to end up in the landfill. And as we've talked about it before, so I won't beat a dead horse, but the piles and piles and piles of things in our landfills is just, it's sad. It's a problem, really.
Yeah, no, you're right. And my husband likes to pick up gift wrap from yard sales. And so I try not to gift wrap. I try to use like fabric and stuff that can be reused. But he doesn't buy new gift wrap. He buys, when people use gift wrap and then they have like a little bit left. And so we just went to a yard sale about a month ago, and this lady was selling. She said, "Oh, I can't use all my holiday gift wrap from last year because then everything looks the same as last year. So I'm just getting rid of all of this, and I'm just going to buy new." So Tom picked up, I think, about 7 big rolls of gift wrap that he's going to use, for his things for this year, because I refuse to wrap his stuff. I'll be responsible for all of mine and do everything sustainably, but he can use his used gift wrap. And then the grandkids like to use the paper, when they're drawing on that when they're sitting at the table and painting and stuff, they use it as a kind of a base. So it does get used again. But I like to use the more sustainable stuff.
Yeah. And at least, I mean, he picked it up at a yard sale. It was gonna, somebody had to buy it, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's what he said. He said, and she said, "Oh, I'm just going to take everything to." And most people that we meet who are having yard sales will bundle everything up at the end of the sale and take it to the thrift store. I've met a few people that take it to some charitable organization, clothes and things for the veterans and things like that, which is great. But most people take it to the thrift stores that we talk to.
Yeah. And so I will say, I told you this before I hit record, but I'm actually pretty excited about it. One of the items I picked up recently on the curb was this pretty damn large picture frame, and it was huge. I mean, it's got to be like at least 2.5 feet wide by about 3.5 feet high. I saw this in the summer, I think, or it was September. Walking by, we had gone for ice cream, we were out for a walk, and there's all this stuff, and there was a smaller frame that, yes, I did pick up and walk back home, but it was lighter. And the bigger frame, I'm like, I want this. I have no idea what I'm going to do with it, and I kind of talked myself out of it. It was there 2 days later, and I said, it's a sign, I must take it now. So I feel like it was a sign. I got it, and now I'm really happy to say that I incorporated into my holiday decorations this year. So it needed some pretty sturdy chain. So my friend Robert worked on that, and it's secure, but it's in my picture front window, and inside the frame is a green Christmas wreath that has like a big bell in it. It's cute. So it actually looks really nice. And I'm thinking, why wouldn't I pick it up? Now, granted, I don't know that I quote unquote needed it, but if no one else took it, it would have ended up in the garbage. So like, that's my philosophy a lot of times, but I just have to watch that. I am kind of bordering on hoarder person too.
Well, why do you think I have the background up here instead of my real background?
Hey, we all have our little secrets.
Yeah, that's right. Just hope the background doesn't fail. My husband, Tom, when we first got together, he didn't have a Christmas tree. He typically went off somewhere else for Christmas and didn't. And then when we got together, I think probably about, 12, 13 years ago or something, we went to a yard sale and we picked up somebody else's Christmas tree, fake tree. And it's our Charlie Brown tree, we call it. But we have that every year. We decorate every year this fake tree, and we picked it up at yard sale, and it's great, And the kids are always saying to us, "Hey, don't you want to get a new one?" And we're like, "No, we love it." And some of the ornaments we pick up, when we see a nice ornament at the yard sale. So it's completely all put together from things, from found things, from made things. Of course, the grandkids make us things for the tree, but I love. I've been reading and saw, I think, a couple of years ago about people where you can go and pick up real Christmas trees and then take them back and they replant them or something like that. I saw that. I think I saw it in England. It was going on, and I think it's maybe taken off here. But I love that idea about keeping that root ball or whatever, and then they take it back. I think that's definitely a great idea. I know my son typically goes and gets a real tree, but he was going to investigate maybe doing that this year. If there's someone local, I don't know. But I love that idea.
Yeah, that's all. I love that too. I grew up with, I think we had a real tree for most of my growing up, and then they had an artificial. For my side of the house, I've gotten real trees for probably 20 some years. And I think last year or the year before was the first year that I didn't. I loved oh man, I was famous for a big fat tree. I liked a chubby tree and it was big and it was always, yeah, I loved it. The fatter, the better. And I loved it and I loved the smell of it. It was so great. I just kind of gave up that tradition like 2 years ago. You know what? It was a lot. There are some places you can return them and they kind of turn it into like, I don't want to say mulch, but they do something with it to give it another use, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a great idea. I know I'll let you know if my son finds somewhere local. I think it's a great idea to be able to return it, and then I don't know if you can put it back in the earth and it'll start growing again. But yeah, we stick with our Charlie Brown tree every year. We definitely like that, and we actually don't put it up until kind of a couple of weeks before Christmas, because it confuses our dogs. Like, what is this strange structure that's just appeared in the living room? And one of them is a little bit scared of it. I think she kind of disappears into the bathroom. So yeah, yeah, it's a whole thing.
Yeah, you don't want to traumatize the dogs, right?
No, no. She has a little thunder jacket though for just those kind of moments that she wears. That keeps her warm and snug, feeling like she's being hugged.
That's
so that's
great.
good. Yeah. But underneath the tree, typically, we have the kids come the day after Christmas, because it's actually my husband's birthday too. So they go and do the holiday thing with with the in-laws, their in-laws and stuff, and then they come to us on the day after Christmas, and then we have stuff under the tree for all the kids and grandkids. And as I say, typically, you'll see my fabric wrapped stuff, and I put things in baskets too. I think we had this conversation before. I pick up baskets and I fill them full of stuff, candles that I find from yard sales, and all kinds of things that I find. I've actually done some shopping. I like to, when I'm at craft shows, I like to kind of leave my booth for an hour or half an hour or so, whatever I can, and go shopping around and supporting other vendors, other artisans. So I bought some nice things this year for like bird feeders and things like that. Just to, yes, it's new, but it's also, supporting your fellow artisans. And of course, sometimes we even like swap things. Cashmere beanie for a dryable, for the dryer. So we do that kind of thing too, which is fun. Which is good, because obviously when I'm out at shows, I'm right there. I can go and shop with other vendors too, and we're all supporting each other.
Yeah, that's great. I know I had the pleasure of seeing you in Haverford, I guess it was, right, at that event. My dear friend Oliver, who moved up from North Carolina, he's in the Philadelphia area now. Right now he's in Flourtown, a suburb, and it was actually about a 35-ish minute ride. When I was planning my visit, I did look at your website and I'm like, ooh, if I go this weekend, we'll get to visit Gabby. So it worked out really well.
Great.
Yeah, that I got to spend time with him and see you at that event. There's some really nice, like true artisan, beautiful handmade items that were in there. I wanted to ask you about the shows. I'm sorry, go ahead. The shows that you have coming up too are fantastic. Let's share a little bit about those, because it's perfect timing this weekend and next weekend, I believe you said. So if people are out there looking for unique, sustainable gift items, they can look for you.
Yes, yeah, definitely. The one this weekend is on Saturday and Sunday. I think it's 9 till 4. And it's the Artisans Club open house. There's a kind of a niche group of us artists who every year we meet the first weekend of December at Juniper Drive, Bethlehem. You'll see it on my website. It's lovely. It's a really nice shopping experience. It's actually in somebody's house, and she moves out all the furniture and everything from a lot of the rooms. And then there's an artist in every room. I normally have, as you walk up the stairs, they've got like a mezzanine. I normally have that whole section up there. with my hats and scarves and everything. And this year, I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag, but we're having a themed room. So there's one room that's actually just a particular theme. You have to come if you want to see what it is. But it's pretty cool. So each of the artists, has done one or two or several items for the themed room as well, which is a lot of fun. But lots of, there's jewelry, there's glass, there's obviously my fabric stuff. There's another fabric lady there as well, that does things like table runners, and she makes those wonderful little gnomes as well, with the big beards and things, which is really cool. And there's a lady that she makes baskets. Donna, she does basket weaving, which is fabulous. And pottery as well, and somebody that makes cookies, holiday cookies, which are really great, and does holiday baking. She has really scrumptious items. So lots of good stuff. And as I say, it's a really nice sort of intimate shopping experience. You're not having to battle through the crowds or anything. And in fact, a lot of people who decide, hey, I do want to battle through the crowds, will come to this event, and then they'll go off to Chris Kindle Mart, which is in Bethlehem at Steel Stacks. So it's you can kind of blend the two, and it's just a nice shopping event. And we get lots of people there. She sends out, people can add to an email list, and then she sends out invites to everybody every year. I don't know how many years it's been going. I think probably this is like the 11th year or something, or 10th. She's been doing it for a lot of years.
That sounds really nice. And to your point too, the Kindle Mart, right? That's a really big, that's been going on for years. And that's, if you don't mind the hustle bustle, a lot of people, but I do prefer, like for me, as I'm getting older, I don't love the crowd. So what you're talking about with your event on Juniper Drive sounds lovely, because a little more intimate, less people. I would kind of prefer that myself.
Yeah, it's really nice. I love doing that show, and it's usually my last show of the year. But this year I'm actually doing a show. It's just a one-day event on the 13th of December, and it's outside. So I'm going to wear my woolly hat and extra thick socks and things. And it's at the Mercer Museum in Doylestown. It's outside, actually, in the square there. And it's run by the Craftery Market. And Doylestown's a place that I've been wanting to get into for a long time. I've been applying to the Doylestown Festival for the last few years and keep getting waitlisted. So I'm hoping to I'm going to apply again next year and hope to get in. Everybody I meet says to me, oh, your stuff would be great in Doylestown, but so I'm just going to keep persevering and keep applying. But this I saw as my opportunity to, great, the Doylestown market, because at Haverford and also Crafts in the Meadow, which was earlier on in the year, Tyler Park, there's a lot of people that come there from Doylestown, and they say, oh, we're going to see you there. And so this is their opportunity to come and see me there on the 13th. I'm really looking forward to it, and take a flask of hot coffee with me to keep me warm all day. But I'm really looking forward to it. And of course, I have the right I've got my cashmere scarves, I've got my cashmere beanies, I've got my other hats. So I've got plenty of stuff to keep me warm should I need.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds nice. And Doylestown is such a cute town.
Lovely.
And that sounds like it's going to be lovely. Yeah, really nice. Yeah. Tell us what some of the I know because I'm familiar, but for anyone listening, like, I know when I saw you in Haverford, I was able to get a great little I believe it's cashmere, right? The cashmere beanie.
It is. Yeah,
with the blue with the little dots. And I have to tell you, every time I wear it, and I'm not bullshitting you, every time I wear it, I get a compliment on it. And I tell people, who you are and to check you out, because every time I wear it, they're like, oh my gosh, that hat is so cute. I'm like, well, I have to tell them it's up.
Thank you.
It's upcycled and reinvented threads and Gabby Lynn, and you have to check it out. But give us a little hint or description for people, whether it's for themselves or for gifts. What do you have? I know you said you've been busy making new stuff. Tell us a little bit about what you'll have in stock.
Right. So I've got at last count, I think I had pricing them all up yesterday, actually. I think I've got 36 cashmere beanies in assorted sizes, assorted colors. They're all pretty much one size fits all, but I have got smaller ones and larger ones too. But lots of different colors of cashmere beanies, all made from sweaters that I find in thrift stores, yard sales. People give to me, people know now that if their cashmere sweaters get holes in, and once they've mended it and can't mend it anymore, I get them. So lots of those. Cashmere, I like to work with cashmere, can you tell? So cashmere patchwork scarves and neck warmers, actually I've been making, which are kind of infinity scarves, but smaller. So you just put them on under your coat, you button your coat up, and then so it doesn't have the bulk of a scarf, but it's lovely and soft and warm and cashmere. So those. I've also started making, somebody gave me a whole bunch of silk ties. And then I went to the thrift store, and they had in a bag, all bundled up, a whole bunch of ties. So I bought those, I think, for a couple of bucks, and most of them are silk. So I've been destructuring them and cutting them up and making them into patchwork. And so I've got lots of silk patchwork scarves. That I made a little bag, drawstring bag, so nice for gifts because you can put them in a little drawstring bag, and there we are, you already have the gift wrap. So lots of those that I have. I've also started making cashmere and silk scarves together. So silk on one side, again, patchwork silk, and cashmere on the other. So it's got the warmth, but it's nice and lightweight because it's got silk on one side and cashmere on the other. So I've been making those too, which are pretty neat. And of course the monster dolls. I love making those. I have such fun. I've just made a bunch of new ones, and then funnily enough, I just put a scarf on one of them, and then I put a little bobble hat on the other one as well. Actually, the laugh one now has a bobble hat on it. I just have such fun making those, honestly. Every now and again I say, okay, today I'm going to just have a monster day, and that's what I did the other day, and I made 5 new monsters. Tearful, I think we've got tearful, we've got laugh, I can't remember what else, but anyway, lots of monsters, which are fun. And in fact, funnily enough, I actually have a lady now that buys them and collects them. At Haverford, she came and couldn't decide between 2, so she bought between these 2, so she actually bought both of them, and she said, I'm going to add it to my collection. She's now got 7 of them, which is wonderful. And she said, I just look at them, they're in a basket, and I just look at them every now and again, and it makes me smile. Perfect. Mission accomplished. So I'll have monster dolls. Just made a bunch of raggedy fish, my fish that hang up, that really do nothing but just look like raggedy fish. I've actually made I found some branches, and I've actually put cup hooks on them, so you can actually hang them. So if you choose to buy 3 fish, you can hang them like as a decoration. People buy them for for their husbands, for their for their fishing daughters or whatever, and just for fun. So those those are made from my scraps of fabric. So when I have offcuts, I just put them in a big container, and then every now and again it's like, okay, the container's overflowing, it's time to make fish. And I stuff the little pieces of fabric inside the fish, on the outside of the fish. So basically, so I don't throw those pieces of fabric away, they all get used somehow. And of course, bags, lots of bags, big bags, small bags, all sorts. And yeah, really that's it. But the hats, and of course my 4-in-1 hats, the hats which are patchwork, cashmere, and other fabrics, and then cashmere on one side, so you can reverse them. So those as well. And then I have my my patchwork hats too, which are bucket hats. And I've got the 91 hat, and I've got the 84 hat. 91 hat has 91 2.5-inch squares of tweedy type material from men's sports jackets, with corduroy on the other side for men's pants, and again reversible. And then the 84 is a smaller size for men or women, with 84 2.5-inch squares. So lots of stuff, and all made with lots of love. So all sewn into it, and everyone with a story as well. Everything has a story, which is really, really key to what I do. I can tell you the story about where I found the fabric, about about how I crafted it, and that's the fun part, and that's why I like the connection with people so much at shows, because you get to hear the story behind it, and I get to hear other people's stories too, particularly when they say, "Oh, I used to have a sofa like that." I get to hear that. I had one lady at one show recently who burst into song "The Sound of Music," and she said, "That's what Maria did. She made dresses for all the curtains. That's what this reminds me of. The hills are all." She burst. It was fabulous.
Hey, when you can get a customer to sing to you, that's pretty wild.
I know. That's great. I know, it's great. It's great. But
I should point out
that's the fun part.
I was just going to say, I should point out for anyone who hasn't, purchased from you, you give everything also in a really cute bag too. The drawstring bag that it comes in, that itself is like a gift. I mean, it's really neat that your items come inside another handmade pull string bag, which is cool.
Yeah, when I sell things online, I'll ship it in a drawstring bag. I actually make a bag specifically for it, and those are good depending on the size of the bag. They're good for putting shoes in, when you travel, that kind of thing, or just good for kind of knickknacks. But when I go out to shows, when anybody buys anything from me, then I'll give it to the customer in a t-shirt bag. So my kids, my grandkids, everybody I know knows never to throw their t-shirts away. They just send them my way, and I'll make bags out of them. And in fact, what I do as well is I'll buy up this time of year. I'll start buying up longer sleeved shirts and things that I find at thrift stores and things. Actually, our thrift store has a 50-cent day on a Sunday. Every week they have different colors. And on a Sunday, it's 50 cents. That color, like yesterday, it was red. So I went and bought some T-shirts. So I spend 50 cents, and then I just give them away. But I buy the long sleeved ones. And what I do with the long sleeves is I cut them off because I'm making the T-shirt bag. But I'll use those sleeves to make wine bottle holders for the holidays, or bottle holders for the holidays. I think I sent you a picture of it on Messenger, but there, you just put a piece of ribbon around it, and you don't even have to sew up the bottom. I mean, you can do, of course, and when I make them, I do. But if you've got an old sweater, you can make, or an old T-shirt, you can make a T-shirt bag, great for taking to the market, to put your potatoes in, because you can throw it in the washing machine. And then with the long sleeves, you can make wine bottle holders, for the holidays, and, decorate them. Even get your hot glue gun out, Janine, and decorate the fabric with some kind of sequins or whatever, for a wine bottle holder. But yeah, nothing goes to waste.
I love that. So that picture you sent me, and I'll share that on social media. So that was of one of the ones that you made for the wine bottles. That was nice. I like that.
Yeah. It was a stripy shirt, so it had the stripy sleeves and then the big gray cuff at the bottom. So I thought, that'll be great for the wine bottle. That one actually doesn't have a bottom to it. I just thought it looked really cool like that, and I had that gray piece of ribbon, so I tied on one of them, and the other one I just tied a knot in it. It's pretty cool, for taking, to a holiday party or whatever, I think. And then the other one that I sent you is furoshiki, which is the Japanese art of gift wrapping using fabric. And again, this time of year, I'm looking out for, and I have lots of silk squares. Silk squares are great for just wrapping, smaller gifts and things. Just great. And then just putting a knot in it. And then, of course, then somebody has a silk square that they can use. And just little pieces of, lots of cotton and things like that. So just using that for wrapping it, is good. And pass it on. Somebody else can use it for something, or they can pass it on. But again, it all just keeping with the notion of not throwing things away and not buying new.
Yeah, I love that. And I love too that for the wine bottle holder that you don't have to sew, because as you know, I took a sewing class the previous summer, and not this past one, but the one before. And I made 3 items in it. And since then, I said I vowed I wanted to learn or keep up at sewing, and I haven't, unfortunately. I do want to get back to it because I enjoyed it. And you can be, obviously you can be so resourceful when you know how to sew, but I like something like that that's easy, where you just cut the sleeve off and you don't have to necessarily sew it, and you could still just kind of put your own, like decorate it like you said. And it's a great way to give someone like a hostess gift, or whatever, the wine bottle. I think that's great.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, even the t-shirt bags, there's a no-sew method of making them. So, I sew up the bottoms of them, but you can actually, just cut them and tie them, and there's your t-shirt bag. So it's very, very easy to do, and you don't have to don't have to sew to be able to do it.
Yeah. I think that's important too, because I think that's sometimes what intimidates people. They're thinking, oh, I'm not, crafty or skilled at this stuff. But really, if you maybe, I'm sure there's tons of stuff on YouTube, or just even doing a Google search. There's probably tons of images or videos to show you how you can do this stuff easily without having to know how to sew. Or even if you do simple sewing, you could probably do so many different things.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, we went up to see my older grandkids in Maine in the summer, and I took some hand stitching up there with me, because obviously I'm not going to cart my sewing machine up there, but I can't be without sewing for a week. So I took hand stitching, and we all actually sat around the open fire. And everybody had a little piece of fabric, and we were all stitching. Even my husband, don't tell his friends, but even Tom was seemed to be having a go at trying to do that too. So it's fun, just all sat around together, just sewing some stuff. The 2 boys too, which is great.
I love that. I had a friend recently tell me there's a church that she belongs to. The women get together on Sundays for a specific time, and she goes now, I think, but she doesn't sew. She kind of does, but they're like, you don't have to. You can just come for the camaraderie and do like, so she, while they sew and talk, she brings something else, like a craft or something she has to do, and chit chats. But like, I feel like that's one of those things that we've kind of lost, like one of those communal kind of things where there were
Yeah.
sewing circles and quilting circles and all that. I mean, I know life has changed so much, but there is a certain value to that, getting together and doing, no matter, it doesn't have to be sewing, but any kind of craft or art, something with your hands, and talking and just having that sense of community.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. And I'm sure there are places here, lots of places here, and I'm in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, lots of places here, which, hopefully I'll get some time to try and discover. I know of a couple of places that I just haven't had a chance to get to, but hopefully I'll be able to do that, at some stage. And yeah, I love that idea. Everybody just sitting around. In fact, we have this show that I'm doing this weekend. We kind of have a spin-off where we all get together for once a month. We're all kind of various stages of working. A couple of people have retired, but one person's a school teacher and things. So we try and get together once a month. Just to get together and share ideas and show everybody. We have like a show and tell. What are you working on? That kind of thing, which is great and really. It's really good for the soul. We all get together and we're all, we all just talk about stuff and kind of, vent and empathize. And it's just wonderful. It's lovely. And all around, hey, what are you making? And doing that show and tell, which is great. Big adult show and tell. It's great.
That is wonderful. Any of those community type of things I think is great, because it's more, then it becomes almost support, or whatever it is, you can just like lean on one another and have a creative outlet too, which I think is cool. Our local library, and I'm sure others do it too, have a makers Monday or whatever. So they're always, and I always miss it, but they're often doing different types of crafting where you can even come in and use, like, I think they have like a 3D printer. They have all this stuff where you can come in.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, where you can come in and I think even like borrow things. And I saw they had like recently an event where, and they're usually free or a nominal amount of money. They made like snowmen out of like wine glasses. And I'm like, all right, now how the heck did I miss this one? I would have loved it.
That's great. I love that idea. I love that idea. Yeah, and it's so nice, to get together with other, with other people that have that have that desire to be creative. We're not all of us, Picassos or whatever, but just to want to have that outlet to be creative. It doesn't matter what the end product looks like. It's just that the journey to getting to that end product, that good feeling of, hey, I'm making something, I'm using my hands. And it worries me sometimes that, gosh, people don't have that appreciation for handmade anymore, but a lot of people do. And those are the people that I see at shows and that I see, commenting on my work, on other people's work. And so, there is hope. And again, before you were recording, I was saying I'm really encouraged by a lot of the younger generation who come up and say to me, wow, I love what you're doing, and this is great, and yeah, it's keeping it out of the landfills, and I'm working on a project at school or at college, and that's encouraging to me. We need so much more of that this throwaway culture. That people are coming up through the ranks and saying, hey, you know what, stop doing it, stop buying all this stuff, and stop throwing everything away as soon as try and fix it as soon as it breaks. I was talking to somebody the other day about the people that used to fix your shoes. When your heel, when you've been walking a bit funny and one heel went funny, or your sole went, you take it to the shoe person and they'd fix it for you, leave it maybe overnight, and they'd fix it for you. And how you just really don't see that kind of stuff anymore, because my shoes break, oh, I'll just buy another pair. It's sad, and it's sad that things go like that. I mean, I'm a big if I want anything new, a lot of the times if I don't find it in a yard sale or thrift store, I'll actually go out and search for it on Poshmark. I'm a big fan of Poshmark, to use somebody else's something that's already worn in. And people may throw up their hands in horror and say, oh no, but I actually just bought a pair of fabulous Doc Marten Pendleton boots that I've been really wanting, and had seen. I don't know where I'd seen them, but I remember saying, oh, I love those. And they said, oh yeah, these are kind of, I bought these years ago. Not available to buy new anymore, but that's fine. But I was just, I'll just put a thing on Poshmark and see if it alerts me if they find them. And there we go. I found it, and actually Tom got them for me for my Christmas present. But I got them on Poshmark, already used, worn in, and fabulous, wonderfully comfortable. And one might argue that I might be a little bit old to wear that kind of stuff, but I like it anyway, and so it makes me happy.
And that's what matters. That's all that matters.
That is what matters. Yeah, it is what matters. Yeah. And I love it, and I'll wear them proudly and tell everybody I got them on Poshmark too.
Yes, you are definitely you're definitely what I always mess up that expression. Walking the walk, walking the talk. You're doing it. You're not just you're living
Absolutely.
the life. Yeah. Yeah.
I am. I am definitely, and loving it. It's exciting, I think, to come across. I was walking around other vendors' booths at Haverford, and bought some lovely stuff, and just listening to people, the stories behind it. One lady there made the most fabulous scarves out of, she felted onto silk. I mean, it was just incredible, the whole technique and everything. Just to listen to other people's ideas and how they came to the process that they did. It's fascinating. I love to purchase things with stories behind them, and a lot of people that buy from me again and again will buy because of the story behind it. that each of my bags has a word in it or a saying, on it. And those are the things that speak to people. People will buy the bag. If they're on the fence, I'll say, well, there's a quote inside the bag too. And that's it. Okay, have to have it because, it's one of my favorite quotes or something. So, the power of words, the power of storytelling, is really, really invaluable. I mean, it's just great. And I love it. And it was like when I had my coffee shop, I used to love the joy that it brought to people. And now I'm making, I'm making things to share with people. That joy that you bring to other people when you're actually creating it's priceless.
Yeah, it truly is. It absolutely is. And it's interesting. This didn't have a story, but like I always talked about it. One of my favorite purses, and I actually have 3 or 4 from this company, was a company that was based in America. I think they were in maybe Tennessee or one of the Carolina states, and they would make the purses out of seat belts. And I loved my bag. It was called Maggie's Bags, and they unfortunately went out of business. I know that there were other companies who made these bags, and I know it's not exactly the same thing, but it's what drew me to it. It was well made. First of all, it was because I'm not exactly I'm tough on things. My mother or my grandmother called me Roughhouse Rosie, so I can break things. I'm not the best, and this purse has stayed intact. The lining, I never ripped it. It is, oh my God, I love it. I was so sad when they went out of business, but whenever people would compliment the bag, they're like, oh, I love your purse. And one of my friends teases me because she's like, people don't care. They don't want to hear your whole story. But I would be like, well, this company was an American company, but they had to go out of business. And I bought like 4 of their bags, but I loved when you connect with a mission or whatever. I love that they were making these out of seatbelts, but they were also making a quality product. It was made in America. And so anyway, I was just sad to see them go out of business. But like when you connect with with the maker of something and you like what they're doing or that mission, I mean, it's more than just a product then.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great, and I love it. Every show I have at least one person, oftentimes more, come up to me and they've got the bag that they bought either last year, or one lady, she bought a bag from me 3 years ago, and she came up to me and she's standing there, she's like showing it off to me. She said, I still got the bag, I love it. And when I love that when people proudly show me that they're still using their bag. And for me, it's like seeing an old friend, because then that all comes back to me. Oh, I remember making that. Oh, I remember that piece of fabric. I remember that, and it's great. I love it. There's nothing on Amazon that can that can elicit that kind of response, I don't think. And I love it, and it makes me very happy to see the joy that it brings to other people when they connect with that item, that bag, that scarf, whatever it is, that monster. I had a girl came up to me, I think it was at the last show at Haverford, and one of my monster dolls had all these things on it that she could relate to. A pencil that her grandfather always used, a red pencil, and something else for this one doll, and one of the words on it, the word on it was, he just spoke to her. Everything about it, she just connected with it. She said, I have to get it because her grandfather just passed away or something, and it just connected with her. And I said to her, it's almost like I made that for you. She could just feel that connection, and I just think it's really important in this day and age when you could quickly click or just a buy now button, to actually think about what you're buying and hear the story behind it and feel the treasure that it is, that an artist has made this, somebody's made this, put lots of love and care into it. It just has so much more meaning, I think.
Yeah. And you bring up a good point that It's kind of like in so many other ways in my life I'm trying to be, but to buy maybe with more intention. I think that's to slow down instead of scrolling in bed at night, because I've been guilty of this. Oh, look at this cute sweater on at Old Navy for only $20, and I've done it, and you're, instead of doing that, buy more intentionally, go to these places like where you are, where there's all these vendors with handmade, beautiful, unique items, and look at them and hear the story, hear the process, appreciate it, and really then then you'll appreciate what you've purchased, and there's a connection there that's so much more special, like you said, than buying from a big box or something.
Yeah, yeah, I'm a big lover and have a lot of a lot of respect for people that do pottery things, because I know that when I think about, when I see them, bringing their stuff backwards and forwards to shows, I think to myself, gosh, I could never do that. I'd be breaking everything, I'd be dropping everything. When they have their stands, and the wind blows, and I'm thinking, gosh, I worry about my tent blowing away, but can I imagine? I couldn't even imagine worrying about that shelf, getting blown over, or things. So I have a lot of appreciation for people that do pottery and glass stuff. But the pottery, I have a real, I love, I love handmade pottery things. I just bought some pottery stuff for my my kids, actually, for Christmas. I'm not going to say what, because they might be listening. But I did. I did that, and there's this one potter that I love, her stuff, and I'm kind of building up my collection of handmade mugs that I like to use. She embosses like dragonflies in them, and she did this one with all dragons on it, and the year of the dragon. So I usually, that's the Mother's Day show in Bethlehem. I see her, and I'll go and buy a mug, with the intention of giving all my other mugs away to my kids, and just having this nice set of her pottery. All the mugs are different, but I love that, and I love the way that every time I see, every year I go and buy my yearly mug, and she's got new designs. She's come up with new things, and I love that too. When you start following an artist, you start seeing how they develop, and you become kind of part of that journey. You see their new things. You have an appreciation for that, and it's great. It's great. And it's just as people that have been following me for years have seen, things develop. There's now typically a pocket on the back of every bag I make, because people were saying, I need somewhere to put my cell phone. So, now that's, so I've kind of, morphed and created things. So because I've listened to what people are saying to me, and, what they need, and what they like too. I mean, the words in the bags has always been, but the pocket is something that I just introduced in the last couple of years, because it's like, okay, everybody carries a cell phone, everybody wants it easy to hand, so let me just put a pocket on the bag. And it's just really nice. It's just something, and I think as we're around the holiday season, it's just nice to get out and and shop with intention, instead of just, I'm just going to kick back this afternoon and just go order everything on Amazon or whatever. To get out and feel that cold air, and listen to that nauseating Christmas music over and over again. It's just that the whole essence of the holiday season. You don't get that when you're sat on your sofa, clicking buy now, buy now.
Yeah. And it's been a culture shift, right, through the years. And it's like,
Yeah.
it didn't happen completely overnight, so we can't deconstruct it overnight, but we can individually make different choices. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny, actually, because on that vein, I'm overdue a trip back to England. My dad's just being a bit, his dog is really sick, and it's really worrying Dad, and so I'm thinking, I've got to go back and see him. I have to go back and see him. Plus, and I have this really romantic idea of England at Christmas time, and yeah, I remember it from when, years ago. I've been in the States for many, many years now, but I have this romantic idea of it. And, I was talking to my sister, and she was like, I think you're going to be surprised. It's not quite like that. So I'm probably going to go back early January instead, and keep that idea of English Christmas in my memory, as it should be, and not go and just see that, hey, everybody's buying on Amazon in England too.
It's better to keep what you remember so you don't change it.
Yes,
Yeah.
I think so. I think so. Yeah. And, I mean, day after Christmas, we're going to be being sold Valentine's Day stuff, I'm sure. So, it's all hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. I was really surprised. It seemed earlier than last year that the Christmas or the holiday stuff was in the stores, way before Thanksgiving. I don't know. It just seems like it was much more premature this year than it's ever been before. It gets earlier and earlier every year.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for the day that they should just have a different aisle. And welcome to Easter. Welcome to St. Patrick's. Just go from aisle to aisle.
That's right. That's it. Yep. Yep. I don't know. Just, buy, consume, consume, consume.
Yeah.
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 Well, as we start to wrap up here, okay, so I want to make sure I say anyone in Pennsylvania, specifically like Lehigh Valley area, make sure you head out and see Gabby Lynn Reinvented Threads this weekend, Saturday and Sunday in Bethlehem, Juniper Drive, and then the following weekend, just the 13th, in Doylestown. And if you go to reinventedthreads.com and you look under events, you can get all the details. You can, even if you're not in Pennsylvania, you can shop online, and you can, of course, follow Reinvented Threads on Facebook and on Instagram. But is there any other point that you wanted to make? I think we covered a lot of good stuff, some tips for people to make, lovely reuse a sleeve to cover a bottle. I'll put some information about that, the Japanese practice with the squares. I'll put some information when I post about this so people can learn more about that. Anything else that you wanted to close on?
I think one of the things, and one of the gifts certainly that I buy my husband every year, because he really doesn't need any stuff, are events, special days out, things like that. And I think that the value of giving the gift of, even if it's just a walk in the woods, it's something that you don't normally do. Let's all get together and go for a walk in the woods, and then go get some hot chocolate or whatever. Just the gift of time, if you like. Even that, just on saying that, I save jars. I have English thyme growing in my garden. My kids know that I give them the gift of time. I dry it and I put it in, and in jars, and give them a gift of time in their baskets, every year. So even things like from your garden, or just, homemade things, I think it's just the fact that when you give to somebody and they know, hey, you took time to make this for me, you were thinking of me, or let's go and spend time together, on, doing something where we're just all getting together and making memories, because those are kind of things that are priceless. And they are not adding to landfills or, the consumerism. That's awful. So that's really my ending note, is that, that just thoughtful, intentional time with loved ones, and time, because those are the things that you can never get back.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. I mean, there's nothing worse than, well, I'm sure there's a lot of things that are worse than whatever, but like that idea that you feel you need to buy a gift or whatever you're buying, especially when you don't really know a person and you're buying them things just to buy because that's what you feel you have to do or you're supposed to do. But if you don't really put thought into it, and you're just hitting, like you said, clicking on that buy button for like, another candle or another, whatever it is. I mean, even buying a gift card to a local restaurant is a nice idea too, or to a local shop, so you're keeping the local economy. But like buying just to buy, absolutely. So many people, so many gifts, I think, end up just possibly getting put into a landfill or Goodwill because the person doesn't use it or whatever. But I love what you said about the time, and that is the truth, and experience, like buying maybe tickets to a baseball game for your dad and you to go together, and then it's or a concert or something, because then it's not just the time you're going to spend together. That's nice. You both get to look forward to something that you're going to do together, which I think is nice. Yeah,
definitely.
Well,
definitely.
thank you so much, Gabby. As always, I
Thank
love
you.
talking to you. I love what you make. It, and I mean, I have three. I thought I was good with three monster dolls, but that lady certainly has me beat. So I'm not competing.
Well, thank you. Thanks, Janine. Always a pleasure talking with you.
Well, I hope you have a wonderful holiday, and folks listening, make sure
You too.
if you can't check out an event in person, make sure you hop online to take a look at what Gabby makes. It's absolutely wonderful, and I can assure you that it's as delightful as Gabby is. All of her handmade items, they're just wonderful. So
Thank you.
thank you, and thank you, my listeners. Next week I will have another Gabby on here, or Gab. I call her usually Gab Benesso, my friend from Pittsburgh. We usually get on here and just have like a total chit chat on whatever happens throughout the day that we want to talk about. Gab is a comedian. She's a public speaker. She's a performer for kids and a mental health advocate. But she's like my 10 timer or 12 timer. She's been on here multiple times, and we usually like to talk about, Christmas traditions that she has, that I have, and just chit chat and catch up. So that'll be next week. And keep on tuning in. I appreciate it. If you would like to be a guest on this podcast, or if you know someone and you're like, oh, she's a great woman, she has a lot to share, stories to tell, tips, information, please reach out to me. I'm always looking for different guests to be on here. As you know, each week I like to give a platform for women to speak, share their knowledge, their inspiration, their stories, for my listeners to gain inspiration, information, education, all of that good stuff, and some entertainment too. And if you like to support conversations like these, please consider being a podcast sponsor. I have a variety of packages. I even have a patron sponsorship for $20. That's a one-time shout out. It's a very affordable way to, shout out your business, your upcoming event, whatever you've got going on. But if you're interested in learning about more packages, just reach out to me. I would appreciate that. And if it's not in your budget, which I completely understand, remember that sharing podcasts on social media, telling a friend, a foe, anyone you know, writing a review, giving it a rating of 5 stars, all of that stuff matters in this world that is so noisy. And a lot of the big guys, they pretty much own the market. And us little folks need your help to spread the podcast and get our listenership or audience to grow. So as I say each week, I appreciate you from the bottom of my heart and the bottom of my wine glass.